Alright, so the current problem I'm having, as you can see, this whole thing's rattling around, touching the tire, just making a really annoying noise. You can see it looks like there used to be two 10mm bolts there, as well as some washers, and it just bolts up to these 2 points on the, I guess, the swing arm, whatever you call that. And so what I'm going to do is fix that. So to do that, you need 2 bolts. These I got at Lowe's. They're M6 1.0 times 16mm. 16mm might be a hair too long. As long as it's not, touching the chain, we should be just fine though. And then in this case, I accidentally bought pinch washers, but regular washers would be a little bit better. And these are also from Lowe's, and they're just M6, and they were right next to the bolts that I got. Another thing you'll want is some medium thread locker. There's a lot of rattling with my chain because it's a little loose, and so I think those bolts just rattled out over time, so I'm going to put a dab of this on the threads so that hopefully they don't rattle out as soon, and you don't really need to put down a lot of torque or you could crack this plastic over here. Now I'm on the other side of the bike, and like I said, those 2 bolts were missing. I didn't know what size I needed, so there's this little brake hose here, and there was a 10mm bolt here. So what I did is I took it out, I removed it, and I made sure it threads into those other ones. Then I took this bolt to Lowe's and threaded it into their machine, and it told me what kind of bolt would fit most accurate. So now that I have copies of this bolt, I'm going to go ahead and put this one back. It's just 10mm. No need to go crazy on the torque. I'm going to start by threading it by hand, just so I don't cross thread anything. Alright, I'll just do a couple turns past hand tight. That one I don't think it'll rattle out because, like I said, it stayed this whole time. This one's pointed down, so as it rattles, it could potentially self-tighten. Let's do those other 2 now. And it's likely if you're missing this bolt too, it's also probably the same exact size as the one we just took out. This one and the 2 new ones we're about to install. And in my case, I bought these split lock washers. I meant to grab the normal ones, but this will do for now. Another thing to note is these are a bright chrome silver color, whereas the rest of the bike is black, so it'll stick out a little. So, you could paint over it, or if they have bolts of a different color or like heat-treated ones, they might blend in a little better. This is what they had, and I wanted to get this fixed before it flies off entirely. Here we have our bolt. Let's go ahead and slide that washer on there. And let's go ahead and put a dab of Loctite on there and thread it in by hand. Print. Could use zip ties too as a temporary fix. Let's thread that in by hand. I'm gonna add a hair more Loctite. Like I said, these bolts are just a little long to the point it'll thread all the way through, but it's not gonna be touching my sprocket. That would be really bad. Now that that's threaded in by hand, let's go ahead and use the Milwaukee. Not too tight. I wish they had a little bit bigger washers, but this is just a temporary fix for now. Now let's do the same thing to this one right here. So like I said, I really wish I had a bigger washer so that way this just doesn't rip all the way through. But this is what they had. So I'm gonna put that on there. Gonna add some Loctite along the full length. Oop, a little too much. Let's thread that in by hand. Alright, after fighting with it, those are finally lined up. Let's go ahead and put them down. Alright, that's a lot steadier. Like I said, my worst fear is potentially it could pop my tire. It's on the other side, it chipped just a hair, or it could get sucked into the chain and just totally fly off one day. but that should be a lot better for now. Like I said, it looks a little silly. Maybe you could go over it with some nail polish or find some different colored bolts. But thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.